Thank you very much for inviting me to this important conference. So my talk will deal with the issue of judiciary and imprisonment systems from a bordering perspective after Oslo. After the Second Intifada, you have a completely redesignment of the way settler colonialism has been enforced. So the main objective was to manage a low-intensity conflict instead of solving it. So two main types of control have been implemented in the West Bank, so on the other side of the wall, so territorial devices that are well known of everybody, like checkpoints and all this kind of mechanism, but also less known in a way, non-territorial devices such as the permit system that started in 1991 but has been really enforced after the Second Intifada, and mass imprisonment policies that turn imprisonment into a kind of population management technique. It can be said that there is a way of governing through imprisonment in the West Bank. So you had the attribution of distinct mobility regimes that are, I will not detail, according to the status and the citizenship that you are holding, but also the permit system ballooned in a system that includes a wide range of classifications according to regions, occupation, purpose of movement, and it ballooned into more than 100 types of permit. If you want to go to pray to Al-Aqsa, for instance, or if you want to go for a medical treatment in Jerusalem, or to visit a relative in jail, you will have different kind of permits for different lengths. So the role of the intelligence agencies have also been enforced, and it has the main consequence of increasing the blacklisting after 2000, and now it is considered that about 20% of the male population between 16 and 55 years is classified as security threats. At the same time, mass arrest and incarceration for political reasons were reactivating what I called a prison web, i.e., it's both a reality and a virtual perspective. It's the suspended legal possibility to detain a large number of people, men or women, starting from the age of 12. So it is estimated that approximately since 1967, 50%, 40% of the male population has been jailed. So I refer to the figures here. So they are usually called prisoners of war, Asra, by the Palestinians, or political prisoners, and security prisoners by the Israeli administration. So through these arrests, the intelligence services gather information, recruit informers and collaborators, and infiltrate the whole society. So it creates an in-depth knowledge of the population and a kind of data system which is the basis of biosocial profiling, which is necessary for mobility management within a territory that is considered as discontinuous and without line borders. So the aim of this, so it has been symbolically so the aim of this presentation is to show how military justice and the prison system are key actors in the management of the borders of the nation. So borders that are here defined by their way of functioning and of course not by the line as a line. So I will deal first with the ethnicization of the judiciary and the prison system and the expansion of the grip of the prison web that tackles both individuals and also their networks. So you have a dual legal system that has been established according to ethno-national criteria, distinguishing Israelis from Palestinians, and even Jews from Arabs. First, military justice in the West Bank has no territorial jurisdiction, meaning that the settlers, of course, are not tried by military court, and military courts do not try either Jerusalemites, Palestinian Jerusalemites, and they also have extraterritorial jurisdiction, meaning that any security case, considered security cases involving a Palestinian and an Israeli living in the West Bank, or any kind of Israeli property, could be tried in the military court. So it means that now the military courts have kind of became the courts of the West Bank for Palestinians. So it includes very different things such as trafficking, including drugs, theft of Israeli cars, property offenses in the settlement, and even traffic offenses. So as you see, security offenses do not come from the main bulk of the cases that are tried in military courts. On the contrary, and only homicides are really a very small minority of the cases. The zoning of the Oslo Accords have also great consequences on the way civil justice, Palestinian civil justice, can be implemented. So this is a kind of metaphorical representation of this zoning, meaning that, for instance, Israeli military courts are trying traffic offenses in Zone C, which is full security control, but also in Zone B, which is supposed to be mixed control. Also, the criminals that Palestinian civil justice are trying to prosecute often find refuge in Zone C or in Zone B, where Israelis do not arrest them, for political reasons sometimes, other times because they don't have coordination with Palestinian forces. And it's very difficult also for Palestinian justice to move defendants and witnesses from one place to another, because as soon as they cross a C zone, which is everywhere as you can see, they have to ask for coordination. So then it creates zones of lawlessness in the West Bank, and criminal networks are for sure instrumentalized by Israeli authorities for intelligence purposes. And finally, the categorization of prisoners between security and criminal is highly determined by who you are, meaning Palestinians are much more likely to be considered as such, and Israelis that are very rarely considered as such. So the prison web is a major system of control. So it's tied to the military justice. It's also tied to a very big role of intelligence services. For instance, it is based on a very specific evidence system which relies on confessions of the defendants or statements and denunciation of third parties, which is known as the Tamir practice in Hebrew. So this system of confession is all the more effective as 97% of the cases are not tried but are just solved by a plea bargain procedure, which necessitates a confession of guilt from the defendant. So in general, families opt for plea bargain because it reduces significantly the sentences. But let's say it gives a kind of national and international legitimacy to this system, because as a result, only 1% of the cases of the defendants are acquitted. And of course, it multiplies the indictments and the imprisonment at a very low cost. So most of the cases that are considered as security are in fact the issue of belonging to an illegal organization or having links to an illegal organization. But the point is that the list of illegal organizations have been expanded, and no organization which is put on the list can be taken. It's very difficult to have it out of the list. For instance, Fatah, who signed, in a way, the Oslo Accord, is still on this list, where it was put in 86. So it's not that it's a virtuality, it's a possibility to be arrested just for this kind of things, and you have a lot of NGOs and non-profit that are now on the list. Recently, as we said, you have a lot of arrestation for the main bulk of the arrestation are for minors and youngsters throwing stones, people entering in Israel without a permit, and also you have a sharp rise of arrestation for activities in the popular resistance or BDS. So what is also quite striking is that penalties depend on the mobility capacity of the people. In some small example, for instance, whether you are a Jerusalemite, a West Banker, you will not be convicted for the same long sentences, meaning that, for instance, Palestinian citizens of Israel and Jerusalemite receive harsher punishment because they can circulate freely in the Israeli-Palestinian space, and on the contrary, they are less likely to be administrative detainees. It also has an impact on your movement once released from jail. I have an example of an ex-prisoner, Usama Barhan. He was given, when he went out of jail in the early 2000s, he was given a map of the West Bank with different colors. In purple were the places where he was always forbidden to go, in green where he was supposed not to go after midnight, and in blue those who were allowed any time. So it was added to a restriction of movement where he was not allowed to get out of the country through Jordan since 1982. So my two last points aim to show how mass incarceration policies and this networked bordering system became relatively cost-effective by the offloading of some of its cost on other actors, following a kind of very neoliberal management scheme. So I will be short on that. So first, it has been offloading on the PA, so through security arrangement, like Allah said, but not only, also through a whole amount of money that the PA is giving to the prisoners, either in jail or after, for rehabilitation and to their families. It is estimated that around 44. It's not estimated. It's the budget of the PA of the ministry in 2010 that 44 million euros are paid directly to the Israeli prison service or spent annually for prisoners in detention. So it's a bit more than 1% of the PA's budget. So it's not like. It's quite important. Also, other actors are involved, like the ICRC, for instance, that is spending a lot to bring families to visit their relative in jail, and also Palestinian NGOs that are providing legal aid and legal assistance. At the end, let's say that you have a kind of monetarization of the system by various means. One of the means is like the increase of the fines that are given plus the sentences in the courts. There is a sharp increase in numbers. You also have the practice of fines that are given to prisoners inside prison for any breach of the rules, which is something which is also new, and which represents a lot of money. And you also have the money that is collected by the thing that they are trying the traffic offences, and this represents, for instance, 36 million euro annually for military courts for traffic offences. So it represents quite an important amount. So, as a conclusion, let's say that it's a key part. The military, judiciary, and the prison system are a key part of a demilitarized and network bordering system that has been implemented gradually since the Second Intifada, and through its neoliberal management, outsourcing, and militarization, it became sustainable and redeployed the occupation. And it's anchored on the role of the intelligence services, and it works on data collection and profiling and concerns not only individual targeted, but is related and various networks. So it's both networked and individualized, and it pervades all the daily and social and political life in the West Bank. So it has been transferred onto the intelligence service, and the settlers have become key actors of this bordering system in lieu of the state. They acquired great power in the civil administration first, and they are a large part of the military judges. Moreover, and as a last word, bordering is also processed by a powerful bureaucracy that covertly validates the mobility regime through legal norms, arguments, and procedures. So all this has a very strong impact on creating deep distrust among Palestinian society, on empowering collective and political mobilization, and expanding the grip of colonization over bodies. But still, it is also shaping specific and ever-emerging forms of social, citizen, and artistic resistance, whom we can talk about later.